Starting a business is a challenging experience at the best of times, but also one that can be very rewarding. Today on the lunch counter, we look at opening up shop in the Kootenays.
Hi, my name is Jerry Taft, and I'm the mayor of the District of Invermere and the owner of Jerry's Gelati, and I'm here today to talk about running a business in the Kootenays.
My name is Michelle Shapitka, and I am co-owner of a small business here in Cranbrook by the name of Sweet Gestures Chocolate Shop. I'm here today just to offer some insight on the challenges and rewards of running a small business in the Kootenays.
Hi, I'm Anne-Marie Smits. I am from Cranbrook, BC, and I enjoy being a local shopper to support the community in the Cranbrook and the Kootenays.
What would you say are some of the elements that lead to being a successful entrepreneur in the Kootenays?
As a business owner, as a small business owner, I have found that I found in my own case anyways, is that you're always going to have the big box stores and all that out there, you know, in this community and others. And you have to sort of carve out your own place, and you have to open when you say you're open and close when you say you're closed. And it's just a really important thing to stick to your hours and things like that. Yeah.
So in a sense, creating a niche, and perhaps instead of competing on price, working on value, extra service.
Yeah, value, quality, all those things, personal attention, because you have, I think the number one thing you have is service. You have to have the service. And so in our store, we have a chocolate shop, so you're like everyone's personal shopper when they come through the door, and that's what they enjoy. And they're not just a number. You know, if you go into some of the bigger places, that's not the case. So you have to play on the most important parts of owning a small business, and just that personal attention, which we love to do anyways.
Yeah, in my business, which is specialty coffees and kind of homemade ice cream, Italian gelato, we find a lot of need to kind of educate the consumer on the difference sometimes in ingredients and in process, and why some products are less expensive and why some are more expensive, and just what makes things different, compared to the big box stores or the chains.
Sure, absolutely.
As a consumer, do you find do you notice the difference between the independent small businesses and more of the big box kind of national companies? Absolutely.
As Michelle was saying, it's service. You know, and it's nice to go into her shop and see the smiles and know that you're a customer that's acknowledged and appreciated.
Better service, and usually they can get you what you want. Special orders and such like that. They give more concern about the individual as opposed just to volume.
I think that's maybe what keeps me coming to small businesses whenever I can, is that I always feel like people care a little bit more, a little easier to find people.
How much of a challenge do you think competition is?
Well, I think I like to look at competition as a healthy. It's something healthy within business. You should always be doing your best, and I think if there wasn't competition, then sometimes businesses can tend to sort of sit back and not worry too much. Whereas I think, competition is healthy on any measure. You know.
But you don't have any competition, do you, Michelle?
I think I do actually think there's a little shop in Kimberley. So and we also we experience competition just from the fundraising. Like in our business, we're a chocolate business, we experience that through a large chain that comes into the communities and fundraises with all the schools. And it's on such a level that we can't compete, so we don't try. So we go back and remember who we are, and continue just to go forward that way, and not worry too much about things that you don't really have the power to control. So you just work on what you do have and move forward that way. So that's how we look at it. And always just try to do better. Always trying to do better.
And as a consumer, you mentioned the importance of service, but what other things do you look for when you're choosing kind of where to shop and where to spend your dollars, and which businesses to kind of support?
Well, I think I can speak on behalf of us all in the fact that the next thing would probably be price, and that's always an issue for a lot of people. But yeah, more importantly, I think it has to do with quality and what it is that's being offered, and if it's worth what you're asking for it. I think people aren't afraid to pay a little bit more if the quality's there, and it's worth it, and with the service, it's just well worth the experience.
As a business owner in the Kootenays, have you found that there's much help and support for either promoting your business or with financing, with business coaching, with kind of growing your business? And I'm sort of guessing more from government agencies or from nonprofits or people kind of outside of your business. Has there been much help?
Help, financial help, I guess you're asking, or both. For me, like for my personal, there hasn't been. I started the business from right from scratch, so very small, and grew it to a point where I could fund my own business. And I know there certainly is programs out there, and community futures, etc. And I know that there is certain groups and support available. It's kind of I found what I did. The biggest help that I found was doing exactly what we're doing, is just networking and talking to other small business owners and customers and people within the community, just to say, hey, throw questions out there and value people's opinion, and really listen to people when they're talking to you. If a customer comes in and I don't want to say has a complaint, because I don't really experience a complaint, but just, this would be really great, and you really want to listen to that, and you want to keep your ear to the ground and not just be so focused on the end result, and realize that there's so much that can be contributed and help you along the way, and along with small businesses. I had many small businesses and small business owners that came and just chatted really candidly, and just it was really helpful. And I don't know if you experienced that as well, starting business from a young age and moving forward, just having that type of support and saying, hey, you're doing a really good job, or I do this or I do that, or whatever it is always helpful in that side of things, for sure.
When I think, I know in my case and in Invermere, and I'm assuming it's the same in other communities in the Kootenays, is that small businesses, even that are in a sense maybe competition or in a similar industry, but the owners all tend to really get along quite well with each other, and do try to take the opportunity to network and to learn from each other, and when they can, help each other out. And there is, I think, a real sense of kind of cooperation and less of a feeling of competition or negativity. And,
I agree. I totally agree with you. It's more in support. If a small business in the community is hurting, we're all hurting.
One of the challenges that I've found in trying to both start my business and then also potentially expand is it's very tricky to find financing and capital, and especially when you're still in a growing stage, and for the most part the chartered banks tend to someone has told me the analogy that they give you an umbrella when it stops raining, and if you've already been successful and been able to generate some good assets, and then they'll be willing to talk to you about lending money. But when you're in a growing stage or you're just starting, it seems like the interest level is quite low.
Yes, I agree with you with that. Yes, absolutely. That is the case, and I think that's probably the number one hurdle for a small business, is the financing side. Not so much the support from networking and all those things. I think those are all in place, and I think that the people that you need to have surrounding you are in place. But the financing is definitely a huge hurdle for any small business owner that's either wanting to expand, start up, has a great idea, whatever it is, and you tend to have to source outside of that, which is tricky. Yes, I agree.
Yeah. One of the changes I've noticed in the last year or two that seems to be gaining a lot of popularity is some of the online TripAdvisor and some of the different online rankings and ratings, and basically anonymous comment forums for customers to comment on their experiences with small businesses. And I guess, first of all, as a consumer, have you ever used one of those, or on Facebook, or have you ever left a comment on whether you were satisfied or not satisfied? And do you feel that gives you more power, or how do you feel about it?
Well, it definitely gives you power, because in advertising, isn't it all word of mouth? It comes down to word of mouth as far as being the effective advertising. advertising. And so I would think that, yeah, those comments really speak volumes. And I've looked at them myself, and they've definitely swayed my opinion.
I find if lots of people like the store, it's obviously going to be a good store. If I don't hear anything good, I'm not going to waste my time and go look at the store.
Generally, people complain more than compliment, but a positive word of mouth is going to be better than any advertising I think you could buy.
Sometimes it can be good because you can actually find out facts which word of mouth, if you don't know anybody who's been there or done it or bought anything, and you don't know, so you've got to go online and maybe trust them from time to time.
I think we've all seen the, depending on the business, there are some that are, maybe they don't have much of an online presence, and they might not even be aware that they're being rated online. And in those cases, you can see some businesses that are completely oblivious. There's dozens and dozens of very negative comments, very valid comments, people that are being very rational but have legitimate problems and concerns. And I guess the flip side, the frustration for those businesses which do have an online presence and are trying to proactively manage their reputation is there's always the odd, difficult customer who may not actually be right, but in this case they do get a lot of power. They get a bit of a soapbox to be able to complain, and unfortunately there's not a lot you can really do, especially once they've left your business, other than to try and respond to their comments and try to explain the other side of the story, I guess.
Exactly, and sometimes you don't even have the ability to reply. We had a situation where there was an online site, and we were looking at some of the businesses were rated, and we realized that this individual had rated 28 businesses in one day, and they were angry that day, and it was and it was very interesting. And so in that particular case, I had to look and go, wow, like. Wow, and some of those businesses one of the businesses that was rated had been closed for like a year. So this person hadn't been in that business for a year and decided to rate them on that day.
You say that the prospects for businesses in the Kootenay is positive in the future?
I really do think that they are. I really do. I think it all gets down to the individual businesses that are either planning on starting a business in the future and the ones that are continuing on now. I think that there's always going to be challenges and hurdles, of course, with anything that we do, but I do think it's positive for everybody in business.